Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box, and I want to talk about Eddie Hearn and the recent interviews he's done since Deontay Wilder has accepted Anthony Joshua's offer to fight in the UK. Now, if you already don't know, the other week, Deontay Wilder, over social media, accepted Anthony Joshua's offer to fight in the UK. He's accepted what Eddie Hearn has stated as the improved offer from the original 12.5 million they offered not too long ago. And basically he's happy to come to the UK and face Anthony Joshua. He has reiterated also that the $50 million is still on the table should Anthony Joshua want to fight in the US. And the $50 million, I might add, that Anthony Joshua demanded for, was it a month or two ago now? And then decided finally he didn't want it. Because the referees and judges in America scare him, which is kind of weird considering, he says he's going to knock out Deontay Wilder. And if you're going to knock out Deontay Wilder, why would you be scared of the judges and refs in America? And two, because he says he wants to fight in the UK in front of the UK fans. He feels they deserve it, etc. All that bullshit, etc. and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Okay, so I'm going to play you the Sky Sports interview with Eddie Hearn. They did a phone interview with him when the news broke that Wilder accepted the offer. And basically, as always with Eddie Hearn, he contradicts himself. Yeah, hence why I call him Contradiction Eddie. And then once I've done with the Sky Sports interview, I'm going to go on and talk about the IFL interview he did with Kugan Cassius recently. I believe that was done on Thursday. But again, he comes unstuck in these interviews because he can't remember what he said previously. And then a month down the line, he says the complete opposite, and he gets found out for all the bullshit that he is, basically. All right, so let's start with the. I'm gonna be warned. The Sky Sports interview is about 4 minutes long, so you're gonna have to be a bit patient and just wait around and listen to it. But I'll give you my thoughts afterwards, after I've played it. It's just an audio, it's no visual. So here we go.
No, I've not been in a meeting. I've AJ and Rob McCracken this morning, and obviously we saw Deontay Wilder's stuff on social media last night again, and it's great that he's come back to us. We made this offer about 4 weeks ago. I don't know whether he's come back because he's heard we're close to closing the Pacquiao fight, or whether he actually wants the fight. But either way, he's going to be getting a contract from us ASAP. It's obviously the fight we want. There's a lot of sorting out to do for this fight, but great news that in principle he seems to be on board for the idea of coming to the UK for the fight. So we're going to be dealing with that and making sure that he gets the relevant paperwork as soon as possible.
So how much does there still need to be sorted? What do you need to go through? Explain it to us.
Quite a bit. I mean, the terms of the deal seems to be accepted by Deontay Wilder, which is great news, and now we'll send the contract. Not looking to be difficult in the contract, but again, he seems to do a lot of talking on social media, and we'll see whether it's bluster or whether he knows that the Pacquiao fight is in the balance, because it has taken him 4 weeks to come back to us. But certainly if he does want to fight Anthony Joshua and he does accept the deal, then we want to try and get that booked in as soon as possible, and we have to speak to the venues and American TV and try and get this up and running. So we'll find out the truth in the next week or so once the paperwork's in front of him.
Okay, I've got to pick the bones out of that one. First of all, you said the venues. Is it UK or nowhere as far as you're concerned?
Definitely Anthony Joshua wants to do this fight in the UK. Obviously we've had some great nights with Pitchko and Takam and Parker, and he wants to make sure that this history-making fight takes part in the UK. I think from Deontay Wilder's messages on social media, he seems fine with that. We are, like I said, he took nearly 4 weeks to come back to us on our offer, so we've missed a little bit of time on the venues that we want to be in. We see this as a Wembley fight, and we're quite limited in that respect. Obviously, it's American TV and pay-per-view has to be considered, so we've got to speak to them about what date suits them. There's a lot to still work out, but certainly if he is real, then this is good news for the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight, and now we move to put everything in place and make sure we can maximise the revenues of where this will be and when this will be, and hopefully get him to sign the contract.
Am I right in thinking, we were speaking to Adam Smith a little earlier, that September might be too soon and therefore Wembley perhaps is out, so it's looking like Cardiff if it is going to be this year?
Well, I think Wembley is where Anthony Joshua wants this to take place. Obviously a brilliant night against Vladimir Klitschko, and it seems the natural home. Our original plan and hopes was to do it in the middle of September, but obviously with Canelo fighting on September the 15th makes it a little bit more difficult with US TV, and the fact that we've lost 4 weeks in waiting for an answer from Deontay Wilder makes a fight happening in 11 or 12 weeks of this magnitude unlikely. So I think if it is before Povetkin, then it runs on October, November, but we have to just make sure that obviously we've made a lot of progress with Povetkin as well. He's our WBA mandatory. But this has all come as a bit of a shock to us, really, that finally he's come back to us on the offer and seems to accept the terms. So now we have to find out if it's bluster or if it's real. I believe he wants the fight, and we have to go through the process again now of the dates, the American TV, and try and find a position that's acceptable to everybody.
Well, Eddie, so much going on. Just very, very briefly, Povetkin, where does that leave it now then? What's your gut feeling?
I mean, we've been working hard on that September Povetkin fight because, like I said, Wilder hasn't come back. So there was news that the Povetkin-Joshua fight was signed and agreed last week, and I don't know whether Wilder's come back after hearing that news. So we've got to get to the bottom of it.
So that was Eddie Hearn on Sky Sports News. Now, let's touch a little bit on that interview and some of the things he said. Now, he keeps banging on about this whole thing about Wilder talking over social media and stuff like that, and he does reference it in the IFL interview as well. And my point to Eddie Hearn here is, you know what, Eddie Hearn is like the king of social media. He does all his talking, all his announcements over social media, over YouTube. I'm not just talking about Anthony Joshua or Wilder. I'm talking about fights, Dillian, Whyte, Joseph Parker, etc. and stuff like that. Big deal if Deontay Wilder talks a lot over social media. The point is, has he accepted the offer? Yes. Has Shelley Finkel confirmed that that he has actually reached out to Eddie Hearn and told Eddie Hearn, send a contract to us? Yes, because ESPN's Dan Raphael has confirmed that Shelley Finkel has actually said, send us a contract. We accept we accept the financial offer you've made to us. Now we want to see the terms and conditions for the fight. Send the contract. Right? So I don't know why he keeps referencing this whole stuff about social media, etc. When that first $12.5 million offer was made to Deontay Wilder, how did Anthony Joshua do it? He did it through the media. Yeah? He did it with Sky Sports. That he says, we're sending out a contract soon. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. Actually, hold on a second. I think I've still got the actual audio for that. And let me play you that for you guys.
I want that fight. There's no doubt about it. But I've gone through a situation where to get that fight, I want to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I've currently got my hands on 4 belts in 21 fights. And he was very vocal about wanting to fight before I was, because my objective was to accumulate every single one of the belts. And now I have done that. Wilder's my 100% attention. And I've waited for an offer, so we're about to make another offer to Wilder's team. A very good offer that should create a lot of interest from their team. And hopefully that will stop a lot of his talking and whining, and he can step up to the plate and take the deal, and we can eat together and put on a great show, hopefully at Wembley or Cardiff, somewhere in the UK, and become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm happy being based here, and I think a lot of my supporters are happy me fighting here as well. So I think the first one has to be in the UK, because also I want to be able to call that shot, because I've worked extremely hard to put myself in a power position when it comes to the negotiations.
So that was Anthony Joshua on Sky Sports News telling the world he's about to make an offer to Deontay Wilder, the $12.5 million offer. Okay, how's that any different from Deontay Wilder saying that he's going to make a $50 million offer to Anthony Joshua over social media? It's not any different. You know, he keeps banging on about this whole social media thing that, oh, he talks over social media. Who knows whether it's real or just bluster. Listen, the $50 million offer was made over social media, was it not? Yeah? The thing is, it doesn't matter what Deontay Wilder says on social media. It matters, does he back it up behind the scenes as well? And the answer to that question is yes. When he said there was a $50 million offer, there's a bag for Anthony Joshua, I expect you to be a man of your word, take the offer and fight in the US. Was there $50 million there? Yes, there was. I knew there was. I know all you AJ fans started, going along with Eddie Hearns and making it out like there wasn't a $50 million offer, but there was. And there still is. So the one thing he does is, Deontay Wilder, he may talk on social media, but he backs it up because the $50 million offer was there. Eddie Hearns always says, in the past he even talked about, when the $50 million offer was made, he was like, who knows if there's any truth to it, because I got this email from a guy from Alabama. I doubt Deontay Wilder's got $50 million. Well, yeah, of course he hasn't got $50 million. It's the investors behind him that have the $50 million. Duh. But the point is, was it true? Yes. The same thing he's done here. He's accepted your offer, your latest offer to fight in the UK. Yeah? He says, send the contract. He also said on social media, the $50 million is there if you still want it. Shelly Finkel has confirmed with Dan Raphael in his interview on ESPN, in the ESPN article, which I will link in this video, that he has contacted Eddie Hearns and told him, send the contract. We accept your financial offer. So there's no point. I don't know why he keeps referencing this whole thing about social media. It doesn't matter what Deontay Wilder says on social media. It's what he does in the background. And does he back up his words over social media in the background? Yes, he does. He's proven that time and time again. Said here's $50 million. $50 million was there. He's now saying send the contract. I accept your financial offer. I'll fight you in the UK. Shelly Finkel has confirmed that they have sent an email. Eddie Hearns himself has said in the IFL interview that he recently did that he received an email request from Team Wilder saying send the contract and the terms and conditions for the fight. So like I said, it doesn't matter what Wilder says over social media. It matters what he does, behind the scenes. And does he back it up behind the scenes? Yes, he does. It's like Eddie Hearns hoping that people will start, will believe that, he's doing it over social media, so it's not very professional, therefore he can't be serious, which is a load of bullshit. And Wilder has proven that time and time again. So let's talk about the next point, where he keeps saying it's taken Deontay Wilder 4 weeks to get back to us, which he repeatedly says throughout the interview. Here's my point to that. As if he's making it out as, he hasn't been in touch with us for 4 weeks and now suddenly, he's accepted our offer. Well, hold on, Eddie. Let's get it right. Over the last 4 or 5 weeks, what have you been doing over social media, YouTube interviews, and mainstream media interviews? He's been constantly saying, I'm working on this fight every day. I'm trying to I've been working hard, to make the Joshua versus Wilder fight. Yeah? I'm in constant contact with Team Wilder. Yeah? I'm, we're having great dialogue between both teams. We've been in constant contact with one another. Yeah? He's also been saying, there's no animosity between the two teams. We're having great conversations, and we're working hard to try and make the fight. So if you've been working hard every single day to try and make this fight, Why are you making it out like, oh God, it's a shock? You know, it's taken him 4 weeks to get back to us. It's a real shock. It doesn't make sense. It's either one or the other. Either Deontay Wilder's team being extremely quiet and they haven't got back to you, and it's taken them 4 weeks to get back to you, or it's the other one which you've been saying all over YouTube interviews and social and mainstream media interviews and through social media, that you've been in constant contact with Team Wilder. There's been no animosity between the two teams, and you're having great conversations, and you've been working tirelessly hard every day to try and make Joshua versus Wilder. Which is it? Again, contradicting himself. Time and time again. So let's move on to the IFL interview, which was conducted, which was uploaded on Thursday onto YouTube, done by Kugan Cassius with Eddie Hearns. Shout out to him and his channel IFL TV, of course. And he starts off the interview with Eddie by asking him to give him an update on the whole Joshua versus Wilder, you know, Wilder accepting the offer to fight in the UK. And this is what Eddie Hearns had to say.
Update on this Joshua Wilder situation. He put a video and tweet and stuff out the other day saying that he's going to accept the offer. You said you're going to send a contract. Yeah. What's happened?
Since then, we just drafted a contract, which they should get today, tomorrow at the latest. We made an offer about 4 weeks ago. We improved the offer from our first one, and yeah, on Monday they emailed us and said we accept the terms, now we want to see a contract.
This is always how it should have been in the first place, shouldn't it?
What's that?
Well, you sort of accept the terms and then
you asked for I mean, we wanted to know the terms before we accepted the terms.
Right.
And we don't know whether he accepts our terms. All we know is that he accepts our financial offer. So
Right.
God knows what's going to happen when we send him the full terms. They're not going to be difficult. They're not going to be unusual. But who knows?
But the main sticking point is the financial terms, surely, isn't it? After that, everything can be kind of worked on.
I think so. Yeah? You'd hope so. I mean, they requested a contract on Monday. So we requested a contract after the first offer, but they refused to send one. So everything's good, really. I mean...
Do you know what? Eddie Hearns makes me laugh. He does. He seriously does. You see Kugan Cassius, he asked him there. Basically, Eddie Hearns said that they accepted the offer and then they asked for a contract to be sent out. Kugan Cassius turned around and said, well, this is how it always should have been done, shouldn't it? That you accept the financial offer and then a contract sent out. And then you see how Eddie Hearns quickly got in there, tried to twist it and swerve that. Yeah, that point. Because of, if you go back to when the original $50 million offer was made, that's what Team Wilder were asking of Eddie Hearns and Anthony Joshua. Accept our financial offer and then we'll send out terms and conditions of the contract to you. Okay? Now, also note that Shelley Finkel obviously did a letter, which he put an email, which he also put into he sent out to the media as well, stating that, hey, this is how you do a deal in boxing. That first you make an offer, that offer is accepted, yeah, and then once that offer is accepted, we then request and you send out a contract with terms and conditions. Right? Now Eddie Hearns says that that's not how you do business. Back then, do you remember that? He was turning around saying, oh no, how can I accept an offer without seeing the terms and conditions of the contract? I've got to protect my client's interests. This is not how you do business. This is not how you make a fight, etc, etc, etc. And then you had all the British, little mini British managers that when he was out there for the Jacobs fight, like Matthew Macklin, who's now, you know, a boxing manager or something like that, you know, trying to back him up in interviews with, when Nestor Gibbs was trying to challenge Eddie Hearns regarding the whole situation, and they were all backing up Eddie Hearns, right? All trying to back up Eddie Hearns. But the simple fact of the matter is that Eddie Hearns here himself has done business exactly how he says business shouldn't be done, or how a deal in boxing isn't done. He made a financial offer, no terms and conditions of the contract were sent out. Because surely, if that's how you do business, why didn't you send out terms and conditions to the contract when you made the financial offer as well? So here's a financial offer. By the way, here's the terms and conditions of the contract at the same time. Right? Because that's not how you do business in boxing. Yeah? Eddie Hearn knows that. Eddie Hearn knows that himself. He does business exactly the same way. He makes a financial offer. And if that financial offer is accepted, he then will send out terms and conditions of a contract. Yeah? So all of you guys who were jumping on my video last time, I remember there was loads of you AJ fanboys jumping on my video last time round when I did this video back then, where I was pulling Eddie Hearn up on this stuff. Oh, how can you accept a deal, an offer, when you haven't seen the terms and conditions of the contract? You haven't seen the contract. He might be signing, and all that nonsense that you lot were doing. Yeah? Once again, Eddie Hearn, egg on your face. Because you know what? You just got caught out again. And this time you've openly admitted it yourself. That actually, yeah, you do send out a financial offer first, and then if the financial offer is accepted, we then send out terms and conditions of a contract. We don't do it at the same time. So for all you guys who were jumping on there, backing him up and, trying to protect Eddie Hearn in that whole situation, just shows you that you're all mindless zombies who just believe anything that you're told, that you don't use your own brain. God gave you a brain and you refuse to use it. So let's move on to the next bit of the interview, or the next part that I want to talk about anyway, where Eddie Hearn talks about dates and US broadcasters, etc. So here's the sound clip from that.
We wanted to do the event in September, but Josh wants the box in September, or wanted to. Still wants to, but may not. And our original offer was based on a September fight. Obviously, last night you got Canelo, Golovkin announced, and it's only, I think, 10 or 11 weeks till September 15th. So because of how long they've taken to come back, September's out really anyway. It doesn't work for US TV, doesn't work in a build-up sense either. So we're looking now, if we do Wilder, for more like October, November. But originally, Josh wants to do this fight at Wembley, we all do. But obviously we can't do the fight in Wembley if it's not in September. So now we're looking at Cardiff for potentially October, November. Now we've got to go back to them, go through the dates, etc., etc., speak to US TV again. And, that's one of the things. I mean, this is a perfect coup for DAZN to nail this fight. And we'll talk to them, obviously. We'll talk to other American broadcasters as well. But I expect to have a contract ready for them today, maybe, but certainly by the end of tomorrow.
Now, he mentions there that Anthony Joshua wants to fight in September. Yeah? I don't understand still what's so important about September, about fighting in September. Okay? You can just tell Povetkin, we're going with the Wilder fight. Obviously, he's probably going to have to pay some step-aside money. Inform the WBA and say, look, we're going with the Wilder fight, etc. We're not going to fight in September now. We're going to fight in November, right? And that gives enough time for AJ and Wilder to prepare for a fight with each other. Okay? Shouldn't be that big of a deal. He's also mentioned venues. So he said about Wembley, AJ wants this historic fight to take place in he said it in the Sky interview as well, that he wants this fight to take place at Wembley, right? Which makes, but that's not going to happen this year because we can't get Wembley, so it'll have to be Cardiff. Which makes me kind of think that, will they now delay the fight? And because while AJ will say next, well, I don't want the fight to take place in Cardiff, I want it to happen at Wembley Stadium. Which means we're going to have to wait till next year, potentially, for this fight, even if the deal gets signed tomorrow. He also mentions DAZN in all of this, you know, suggesting that DAZN could be the US broadcaster for Joshua versus Wilder. Now, from what I understand in regards to the US viewership, Eddie Hearn has control of the US viewership. Shelly Finkel has confirmed that in his interview to Dan Raphael in the ESPN article, and I'll link that in the description so you guys can read it. But that's up to Eddie Hearn, apparently, according to Shelly Finkel, which says Shelly Finkel said that US viewership is up to Eddie Hearn. He said they would like it to still, you know, be with Showtime because they have a long-standing relationship with Showtime, but it's down to Eddie Hearn. He gets to choose who in the US gets the rights to Joshua versus Wilder. Now, he's mentioned DAZN there. It would probably work out better for Eddie Hearn from a profitability point of view if the fight did go to DAZN. Now, we know he's got this deal with DAZN, and it is to stream boxing in the US. What is it, 36 fights a year or something like that? He's got they've given him apparently a $1 billion war chest, so he can go spend money on fighters to, you know, bring the best fights to DAZN, etc. And it's an online streaming app, and you pay £20 a month subscription with no, you know, there's no contracts, so you can cancel it anytime at any point you want. Yeah. Now, he's saying that DAZN could come in and, you know, outbid everyone, and it's a perfect opportunity with them because they don't. Part of that deal that I was just talking about doesn't include Anthony Joshua, so they would have to bid separately for that fight, Joshua Wilder. Now, they could go two ways with this. Yeah, they could either buy Joshua Wilder and have the rights and buy the rights to it, to view it, to show it, in the US. And as you know, out in the US, they spend like it's anything between $40 to $70 for a fight. Now, if he controls that kind of money, remember, Deontay Wilder's only getting a flat fee guarantee for the fight. He's not getting a percentage split of this fight. This offer from this improved offer it's a flat fee guarantee. There's no percentage split. So he gets no percentage of any of the pay-per-views, US, UK, etc. I would understand. That's how I see it anyway. That's how I understand it. Yeah, it would all go to Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. So if they charge, say, $60 on DAZN for you to watch the fight, that's a lot of money for them, right? And let's say he does 1 million pay-per-views. That's a heck of a lot of money. Or they go the other way and think, all right, let's do it really cheap out in the US like we do here in the UK, and we'll get more people. You know, we end up getting millions of buys, because if they do it at $20, right? If they do it at $20 a pop, a pay-per-view, how many people out in the US are going to buy the fight? Even if you're not really that into boxing, you think it's only $20, I'll pay for it. But either way, yeah, although a lot of people will say, well, that won't make as much money. Yeah, maybe not, but it's still a massive profit for Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. So it'll be interesting to see, as Eddie has control of who will ultimately have the rights to show the fight in the US, it'll be interesting to see who it ends up going to.
And actually, when we look at the numbers, with a big American TV partner, it is less than the $50 million offer, but potentially not that much less. So I'm glad we've worked it all out.
Okay, so why did I play that little audio clip there for you guys? Simply to say that there you have it. That's the first time I've heard Eddie Hearn. Now, in the last few weeks, he's been saying constantly that, you know, they've made us a really good offer. It's a great offer, but we want the fight in the UK. Anthony Joshua's willing to take less money, etc., etc. but he's never ever out loud or in an article when he's been interviewed actually said that the $50 million offer was a great offer from Team Wilder. And that's exactly what he's just done there. For the first time I've ever actually heard Eddie Hearns outright say it, that, you know what, we've done our numbers on our side. Yeah, even with a US partner, it's still less than the $50 million offer that they made us, but not that much less. Despite in what terms he was talking about it, the fact is he's finally actually admitted that that $50 million offer is on the table. And that should teach all you Anthony Joshua fanboys out there a bit of a lesson. That this guy, how much more evidence do you need that this guy lies through the skin of his teeth? That he is one of the biggest bullshitters out there. He's been a few months ago, a couple of months ago, he was saying that, no, it's not real, 50 million doesn't exist, blah, 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 etc., etc. You all jumped on that bandwagon. Saying proof of funds. Now the guy's sitting there saying, yeah, the $50 million offer is there, but we've done our numbers, you know, we want the fight in the UK, and our numbers work out less than the $50 million offer that they made us, but we're still willing to do that to make the fight in the UK. But my point is, all you guys out there who blindly follow and listen to everything and believe everything Eddie Hearns tells you, need to stop doing that. Because all you're doing is you're embarrassing yourselves. Because you make these comments and then later on the truth comes out, which it has done here, that yeah, the $50 million offer actually existed. Again, proof that Eddie Hearns contradicts himself. He lies for the skin of his teeth, and simply put, he's a big bullshitter.
So the situation with Povetkin's people, have you just told them basically just hold tight?
The truth. I just said, look, Josh wants to fight. I spoke to Josh at length. He likes the Povetkin fight because he's a very good fighter. He's only been beaten once by Klitschko on points. He loves the Wilder fight, obviously, because he wants to be the undisputed champion, wants to be the best. But he also wants to get going. He's just started training, and he wants some news, probably the same as Wilder. And his, ethos is, let's fight Wilder. But if this is going to stall, let's just go straight with Povetkin, and then we'll fight Wilder immediately after. So, as I said from the start, the way I see it at the moment is the Wilder fight is 100% happening. And the max you probably have to wait is 7-8 months. But hopefully, and possibly, you might have to wait 3 or 4 months. But I'm almost certain this gets signed. It's just a case of when and how quickly.
The most you have to wait for is 7 to 8 months for Joshua Wilder. If you're lucky, 3 to 4 months. 7 to 8 months is January, February time. 3 to 4 months is about October, November-ish, I think. Here's my point, and I said it earlier on in the video. If Deontay Wilder has accepted your financial offer, this fight is pretty much made. Because unless you've put poison pellets into the terms and conditions of the contract, and what I mean by poison pellets is stipulations in the contract that would make Deontay Wilder say no to the fight, because it should be pretty much relatively straightforward. I think I remember playing an audio clip of Frank Warren in an interview when he said, this ain't, these fight contracts aren't like 10, 20, pages long. They're a couple of pages long with a few terms and conditions in there, and that's it. So the terms and conditions of this contract should be straightforward. The biggest part of making a fight is the financials. And quite clearly, Wilder has agreed to those financial offers from Matchroom, Eddie Hearns, Anthony Joshua. All he needs to agree to are the terms and conditions. So the terms and conditions shouldn't be very difficult, should be quite straightforward, and should should be easier to accept than the financial offer, if that makes sense. So this fight should really happen in the next 3 to 4 months. Why are you even talking about 7 to 8 months? This fight, like I said, could happen in October or November. Forget the September date. You know, forget Povetkin. Pay Povetkin off, pay some step aside money. You're going to have to do that anyway to make this fight. Tell the WBA we're going with Wilder. He's agreed he's accepted the financial offer. He's now also accepted the terms and conditions to the contract. We've got a fight. We want to fight Wilder first, and then we'll fight Povetkin in February. Yeah? My point is, why would this fight not happen in 3 to 4 months from now? If he's accepted the financial offer, even though, from what I understand, from what, is it JD's, which is one of Wilder's co-managers, has said that it's not that much of an improved offer from the 12.5 million, but Deontay Wilder wants to get this fight done, so he's decided he's going to accept the offer to make the fight. If he's accepted that offer, that financial offer, the terms and conditions shouldn't be an issue. Should be pretty straightforward. There you go. Nice and easy. Sign the contract. Fight's on. Right, let's do this in October. Or even November. Basically what I'm saying to you is that the hardest part of negotiations is the financial part of it. The purse split, etc. and all that sort of stuff. Wilder's accepted that. Now he just needs a contract, terms and conditions of the contract, sign the contract, fight's on. So why do we need to wait 8 months for the fight? Should be relatively straightforward from here on out, because he's accepted the finances.
How much more significant financially was your improved offer on the original?
I'm not really going to go into the offer. It was a decent improvement. I think it's a fair deal. I mean,
but something you thought that would perk their ears to come back to you?
Their ears.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it probably did, but they didn't really want to. It's just the whole thing's been really weird. Like, I don't really understand the social media stuff. And listen, someone tweeted me the other day saying I'm the king of social media, but it's something don't smell right in the sense that everything, like they sent an email to say we accept the offer, then they come out on social media, start doing all the videos. I wouldn't, as much as I've got a massive trap, and I love putting things out on social media, if I was really desperately trying to make a fight, I really wouldn't be doing what they're doing. Maybe that's just their style, but I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, the proof will be in the pudding when we send a contract and see what happens from there.
So Kugan Cassius just blatantly asked him there, you know, what was the new offer? You know, how much what was the improvement basically in that offer? And he's kind of swerved it and said, oh, I don't really want to talk about the offer, but you know, it's a decent offer. All right. Now, Shelley Finkel in an article with Dan Raphael from ESPN, turned around and said, there's no percentage split, but they've offered us a good purse. Not as good as we feel it should be, but we want the fight. And we're willing to take what they offered, Finkel said. We wanted a percentage, but we didn't think we could get it done in a quick time frame. So we said, let's take what they've offered. Deontay wants this fight. JD's, who's another co-manager of Deontay Wilder's, in an article with BoxingScene.com said, we offered $50 million, which is what he said he wanted. And he then turned it down. Then they came back with a much, much, much smaller offer for Deontay, which would have been less than Deontay would have made in the United States, and wanted him to still travel to the UK for a fight. And we said yes. The reason we did this was because Deontay is investing in himself. He wants this for the fans, and he wants this for his legacy, and he knows that being the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world will give him the financial gain as he proceeds. Even though we would have liked a better deal, Deontay said yes. And that kind of explains Eddie Hearns' reaction, or his answer to the Kugan Cassius' question about the offer. There's a decent offer, you know. you know, Dees and Finkel say the same thing. You know, they said, no, it wasn't a good enough offer, but Deontay really wants this fight. Not only that, if Deontay turns this fight down, if Wilder turned the fight down, he'd get blamed again, or, you know, Eddie Hearns would have tried and blame him again for the fight not happening. Right? So he's accepted the offer for, you know what, sod it, I'm done playing games. I'll take what you're offering. Let's make the fight. I'll come to the UK, I'll knock your boy out, I'll become the A side, and then I'll bring it back to the US, and I'll control the terms of the rematch. You know, and probably turn around and say, your boy's getting the flat fee this time. He ain't getting nothing more. But not only that, go back to the Sky interview that I played to you earlier on, where Eddie Hearns said, we're shocked that they accepted the offer, that they came back and accepted the offer. Why is he shocked? Ask yourself that question. Why is Eddie Hearns shocked that Deontay Wilder accepted the offer? Because it was a bullshit offer again. It wasn't a great offer again. And he was hoping Deontay would say, no, I don't accept it. So he then could turn around and say, there you go, we've made an offer, he's turned it down, it was a really good offer. And guess what? Deontay Wilder's turned it down, he don't want the fight, he ain't serious. Like, as always. And all you AJ fanboys buy into it and start, you know what I mean, talking your nonsense. But that hasn't happened. Deontay Wilder's accepted the offer. Now, if he accepts the terms and conditions of the contract, Eddie Hearns, he's going to come up with some other ideas now to prolong the fight, which he's already kind of hinting to you. So he keeps saying that Anthony Joshua wants to fight in September. AJ really wants to fight in September, is the exact words he used. So if Anthony Joshua fights in September, I can tell you now, he won't be fighting again this year, which means we won't see the Wilder fight till next year. He's also saying that AJ really wants to fight in Wembley. He wants to fight at Wembley Stadium. They can't get any dates this year for Wembley, so if they do it this year, it'll have to be at Cardiff. But AJ really wants to make this fight at Wembley Stadium. You know, again, that will probably be another reason. Oh, we'll have to make the fight next year because Anthony Joshua is the A side, we're in control, and we want the fight at Wembley Stadium. So we'll make the fight in February, or March, or April. But definitely not this year. Do you see what he's doing? He's already setting up the next set of reasons as to why this fight won't happen this year. That's what he's doing. Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I just don't trust Eddie Hearns. No one would love to be more wrong than me and see this fight happen in October, November. But with the way Eddie Hearns has behaved over the last year or so, regarding this whole situation between Joshua and Wilder, and the games he's been playing, yeah, he's great at manipulating people. And that's what he does. We know he lies. I've proven in this video he's lied. Again, I've done it time and time. He contradicts himself. I'm sorry, I don't believe that this fight's gonna... I've said it before in previous videos, and I'm gonna say it again. I don't think this fight happens until 2019. Even if Wilder signs a contract next week, I reckon they'll find some way or some excuse to prolong this fight. They'll go with Povetkin next, and then, because he's already stated it in the IFL interview as well. If you go and watch it, the whole interview, he says it in there. He says that, you know, we could fight Povetkin in September, but we can still sign to fight Wilder maybe in December or even in February. But there's always some angle or some reason as to why, you know, this fight can't happen immediately or in the next 3, 4, 5 months from now, when it can be easily made. But that's my take on it. You know, I don't think the fight happens in 2019. I've said this before. Even if Wilder signs a contract next week, I'll be very, very shocked. But I'll be happy to be wrong. I would be very happy to be wrong. If the fight happens in October and November, I'll happily put my hands up and say, whoa, I was wrong. Because you know what? I want to see this fight. If it happens in October and November, great. but I honestly don't believe it's going to happen. I think even if Wilder signs the contract, they'll find reasons as to why the fight can't happen this year, whether it be they want to fight Povetkin, or whether, you know, Wilder, you know, AJ really wants to fight in September, and who's going to fight Povetkin, or, you know, he really wants to fight at Wembley, he doesn't want it at Cardiff because it's a historic fight, undisputed championship, heavyweight championship of the world. He wants it in front of 90,000 fans, and we haven't got any Wembley dates till next year. You know, there's going to be a reason for it. I can smell it. Anyway, that's my take on it all, on Eddie Hearn and his recent interviews regarding Deontay Wilder accepting the offer to fight in the UK. As always, guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.